Right. So today I'm joined with a friend, Laura Sprouse, an MPB alumni. Laura, how are you today?
I'm doing well, David. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. We're coming off a Memorial Day weekend. And I'm excited to have Laura here today because just in a couple days from now, she'll officially be managing partner of Brown Edwards. And so I've asked Laura to kind of join us and talk a little bit about her background and her journey to becoming the next managing partner of Brown Edwards. So, Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you for a little bit, hear about your 20 plus years at Brown Edwards, and then we'll dive in.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it, David. No one would say that I have had a traditional path here at Brown Edwards. No, come September, I will have been with the firm for 26 years. I was hired on as just a general associate staff accountant doing audit and tax work. But when I did come to the firm, I did have a background and a degree in technology as well. And I was shortly pulled into an external team that was helping to support our clients with software implementations, network infrastructure implementations, and just really running the full gamut of all types of help for clients. You know, building out reporting, building out dashboards, even back in the day, helping them understand how to improve their processes with software. And along the way, we had to end up pulling that back in because after Sarbanes-Oxley, we had difficulty getting commission sales for our clients. We couldn't do it any longer, and so the pace at which we were growing slowed down tremendously. And so I was pulled back in. I was still doing audit and tax work, but I started helping out with our internal IT team. And my major transition with the firm really started in probably 2005 when I helped take the firm paperless back in the day. It seems like forever ago. And started building out tools for the firm or finding tools for the firm to even back then automate processes and things for us. You know, we started using BuckDip in 2005. That's now PFX Scan today. So we've always felt like we've been, and I think I've helped be the firm kind of ahead of the curve on technology, maybe not on the bleeding edge, but at least ahead of the curve. Um, as that role continued, you know, I helped started getting more involved with training our staff. I started getting more involved with working with each of our functional areas within the firm. I started working with the HR team. I helped them implement new software. So I started to peek behind the curtain a little bit about compensation. I started working with our finance team. I rolled out new accounting software to our finance team from, you know, basic software that they were using and helped build the firm's financials. That was truly an introduction to the firm and how it was, you know, built and how things run and what things actually look like. You know, that was long before I was even a partner. And I kept on this journey working with every area of the firm that I possibly could. And as we were starting the transition, um, you know, I knew I'd been voted in as a partner. We started the transition between Don Palillo and Jason Hartman into the managing partner role. I was working more closely with Jason on things, helping him build out things. And this has just kind of been a natural evolution. You know, I really know this firm from top to bottom, have for years. I've been integral into so many of the different processes and things that we've done along the way to help us grow. Being beside of Jason for the last 7 years, 8 years, and growing the firm that the way that we have from 25 million to $86 million this year has been a crazy ride. It's been educational. I've had my hands in, you know, all aspects of this. Jason will tell a lot of people COO was never my right title for the last couple of years, at least for the last 3 or 4. I've been kind of a co-CEO with him. He and I did worked through everything together. I've been part of every major decision. I've made every major decision happen. So it's been fun. You know, I have so much pride for Brown Edwards and what we've done and what we've become and what we've accomplished. And I'm just really excited about the future and where I'm going to take things.
Well, that's super exciting, Laura. And I know from 25 to 86 million over that trajectory, you've seen it grow. How many offices do you guys have today? I know you're scattered around the country.
Yeah, well, we have 12 offices in 3 states, but we have employees in at least 12 other states at this point in time, even a partner who lives out in Idaho. So,
So when you took over as COO 4 or 5 years ago, I know you joined us at Managing Partner at Boot Camp,
yes.
starting to think about what that role entails and looks like. At that point, were you still building clients and hands on? Was it something you were starting to step away from? That was a transition.
That was part of a transition, really, when we were starting to grow and we were starting to move fast with growth. I was still supporting clients on the technology front, and we ended up selling off that part of the business at that point in time because I could no longer manage what I needed to manage for the firm as well as manage a client base successfully. Neither Jason nor I have had a client book of business for 8 years at this point. You know, we didn't have anyone internally outside of myself who was really wanting to focus on this area. So selling it off at that point in time was the best answer for us. So
Yeah. So and that helps, obviously, thinking about the vision going forward. And I know a big conversation, today is thriving independently and looking at all the boxes that get checked. What are some of the things that, as you kind of take leadership on as the official managing partner, not to say you haven't been doing a lot of that over the course of the last couple of years, what are some of the more pressing initiatives or areas that you plan to focus on over the next 1 to 2 years, just to help keep Brown Edwards, where it's at? I know you have some really unique niches in higher ed, and what that means within the firm's
yeah.
growth trajectory and sustainability.
Well, I've told my partners, we had a meeting even last Thursday, our final partner meeting of the year. And I told them, we can't stop growing. I mean, it is imperative that we continue to grow and that we focus on those things that we truly excel at and that we're able to achieve other strategic growth that we really want to have. You mentioned our higher education, our private colleges and university niche. We've for years believe we have something special with that team. I think we have a special service. I think that team gets great recognition and gets and they really have. They took upon what we've asked them to do. And they've really started growing, and we've now grown outside of our geographic footprint. We have expanded. We're now in, I believe, 9 different states doing private colleges and university work, and we just want to keep growing there. So areas like that, employee benefit plan services. We think we've got something special with our construction niche as well. I think we can deepen our bench strength in several of our areas to really help us grow. But turn around and looking about back at what other services can we provide our clients that will make us a full suite to them, a full stop shop. What are those things that our clients always come to us for to ask for help on? Getting back to a technology venue, getting back to a human resources marketing, what other services are we constantly being asked for that we can really support our clients with? And that's one of my major focuses over the next couple of years. Really proud. We were high rated, clearly rated firm this year for our client experience survey. I was really proud of those results, but everybody can always do better. And I really want to work on enhancing our client experience this year, along with our employee experience first and foremost. We're already trying to do some things. We've rolled out a new bonus program that it's pretty extensive. The partners have really worked hard for this and pushed for this for something very comprehensive for our employees, and we're excited to be rolling this out this year. We're looking at revisiting all kinds of things, including PTO for some of our hourly employees. Whatever we can do to continue to enhance our work-life balance and say what we mean and mean what we say, and really get there for our employees. All in all, for me to give my partners a better experience, they've got to be happy too. We want to, if we want to keep doing this and we want to be successful, they need to be happy to do those things and to be excited about growth and pushing and what we're doing for our employees. So how can we just bring this full circle to make it a better experience for my partners as well?
I love that
But
theme right there in terms of just better experience and really prioritizing CX and EX, client experience and employee experience. And the one common theme amongst both of those things is people, right? People and talent, and keeping people at the front and center and the heart of everything that Brown Edwards does and plans to do going forward. In boot camp, one of the classes that happens to be one of my favorites, and I think about Gary, and strategy is easy, execution is hard. To me, one of your superpowers is your ability to execute, right? You understand the strategy, but everything you just talked about is all around execution going forward. How critical is that in today's marketplace? There's so much noise and things going on, and how is that part of what you're focused on going forward and doing?
Oh, execution is 100% of the game, because talk is cheap.
Yeah,
If you can't live up to the word, if you can't do the things that you're saying that you want to do, one, I won't last very long in this role, and that is not my intentions whatsoever. But it's the same thing for our partners. How do we keep our staff? How do we continue to build out our middle? How can we really enhance what we're even doing internally from a technology standpoint to reduce the mundane for them? Let's get rid of manual entry tasks. Let's do away with manual things. Let automation help us to improve the quality of lives for our employees, for our partners, for our clients. You're really going to have to deliver right now because the noise is so tremendous. What private equity is doing, shaking it up, good, bad, or other, just the noise that it creates, the
right.
competition that it creates. How do we do these things and make ourselves different to the market that makes us more attractive for us to be able to do better recruiting, stronger recruiting, as well as fight for the clients that we want and that we want to continue to serve along the way. So we have to do it. Period.
You have to get it done, otherwise grow. Somebody told me once, if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
I believe it. Gary Thompson's great. And what did he say to us a couple of years ago too? And I'm pretty sure Gary Seamus has said this as well. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There is no standing still. So.
Yeah, both great individuals leading firms today on the consulting side. I love Gary and Gary very much. When you talk about execution around CX and EX, other firms I think are starting to prioritize this. I just wrote an article recently in IPA about client success managers and a role that I see evolving. As you go look about prioritizing this for Brown Edwards, what are some of the people around you that help you execute to move these things forward? If I'm thinking about doing this at my firm, or want to consider a CX or EX initiative, right, under leadership, what are some of the key players that you have around you to help get these things done? Because I know $82 million firm, 400 or 500 people, I'm assuming, right? That's can't handle everything.
Now, right now, over the last couple of years, Jason and I have really been building out the rest of our C-suite. We've invested in a CIO. We've invested in the CHRO. Back in 2020, we brought Jerry Donovan in as a business developer for us, but really Jerry is so much more than a business developer. And I think him and Jerry Donovan and Chris Pellegrino, our CHRO, are going to be instrumental in helping us pull this off with the client and employee experience. We settled into our first employee engagement survey this year for the first time in 5 years. And Chris has been, which was not great, for us not to have done that. But, I was pretty pleased with some of the results. Obviously, room for improvement, but there were ways that we were already winning and really doing really well. So how do we continue to, improve on those things that our employees said? And as we go into another year of, evaluations, Chris is instrumental in helping develop those initiatives around those things that our employees are saying and working with me to do it. The big thing that we're hearing from clients, from our employees, is simply communication. Yeah. So working with Jerry on a new communication strategy for the firm and what my communication strategy will be and how it will be different than what we've done over the past couple of years. So the team's already working on it. I had a big talk with them back in February, as we've been moving through these steps. They know my vision. They know what I want to push for. They've already hit the ground running and have things in process for me. And we just actually met again last week to talk about our 2025 strategic initiatives. And the team's really pumped, and I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't have a COO currently. We're going to take a minute, just kind of see how things shake out this year. And then see what kind of team member I need to backfill in for some of the roles as I continue pushing further down and stretching myself strategically versus operationally.
And that makes a lot of sense.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Trying to build it. And I've gotten to know Jerry very well over the last couple of years. He's attended a lot of our events, so that's been great. Got to meet Chris at the BDO Alliance conference that he was trying to explain to me who Brown Edwards was, and I was laughing a little bit. But it was, looking forward to watching your team kind of evolve and grow. Any tips on execution, right? Other leaders, managing partners, practice leaders of large practices, right? Like execution is hard at the end of the day, and anything that helps you break through the noise and get things done, and understanding you can't do them all, and how do you delegate and just certain people as part of that process. Love to get some perspective there, because again, I think that's just the key part.
I think the big thing is have a plan. Just don't go into these things blindly. Have a plan, understand the steps. If you've got a project manager, incorporate your project manager into your plan. Have someone who's strong, if not even a project manager, but strong in project planning, to help you line out the steps. Understand who's going to be assigned to those steps. Make sure you've got the right team members in place. Make sure all the right team members are communicated to that will support this. Make sure that my partners know what we're heading towards and what we're doing, so that they know that the team knows they've got top-down buy-in for those things that we're trying to accomplish. But maybe set milestones. Make sure you're hitting those milestones so that you can get these things accomplished, and don't let the day-to-day noise and then all the outside noise influence what's going. Let's just keep building. If you hit a roadblock, make sure someone's aware of that roadblock as fast as you can, so that I can help overcome the roadblocks and help continue for us to push ahead. So
I heard 4 things. I heard have a plan, project management, right? Communication is key. Stakeholders, the partners. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people don't always do well. While we don't need your opinion, we want you to know what's going on, right? And then somewhat of accountability at the end there. And I think those are 4 things that are all really critical.
And the right team doing all those things. Having the right team in place to do all those things.
The right people. Awesome. So the last question I had, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, is just the profession in general, and getting some of your perspective. I know you're very active at different alliances and conferences, traveling constantly to the different offices. You talked about private equity creating a lot of noise and shaking things up to a certain degree. What are some of the things that you see, within the profession? Maybe it's the next 6 to 12 to 18 months that we've got to prioritize. You mentioned technology, and you guys, your background probably gives you somewhat of a leg up on how to adopt it. I think, AI in 2023 was all theory. This year, we thought it was going to be more practical. We're not really quite sure right now. But love to hear, your thoughts on 1 or 2 things that the profession is really needing to prioritize or focus on over the next, 6 to 12 months right now. And
well, I think the profession as a whole still needs to refocus on what we're doing with staffing. Where are we moving that way? How can we supplement staffing with technology? And AI may be a very good part of it, but it's not just, the large language model type of AI, but what does automation AI do for us? How can we use those tools, again, to reduce the mundane? How can we pull away hours from employees that are not value driven for clients, that are really just getting to a base function? I think a lot of us are going to have to spend a lot more time thinking about that and considering how we're investing in our technology budgets and what we're putting into our technology budgets, because I think the pace of technology, has been doing this, and I think it's just going to cliff up even further, because of what AI is bringing to the table and automation and just the innovation that's happening right now. When it used to be, you would only be one or two products or major vendors in the marketplace where you could go to find products. I think there are going to be so many more players in the market with tools that we're going to have to evaluate. We're going to have to be ready to have teams ready to evaluate software to figure out quickly that what is the best and the brightest of the future for us to be able to use, but know that we're probably going to have to turn around in less than 3 years and reevaluate it all over again because it's probably going to be obsolete in 3 years. I think we've got to figure out how we can better leverage our teams, how we can better leverage outsourcing as we continue to struggle to find staffing. But really how do we refine ourselves to provide the services that clients are really needing and asking for, as we consider how compliance may continue to move away. I mean, advisory services, is an ebb and flow to advisory services, but how can you build out something that's sustainable, as compliance can start shrinking away a little bit more, as automation will solve some of that for us. So.
Well, I think we could do an interview on each one of those subjects for 20 to 30 minutes specifically. But we talked about technology alone. I mean, that comes back to strategy and execution. You have to have a vision. You have to have the right budget. If you're not going to invest, you can't execute to remain competitive going forward. Just thinking back to your boot camp experience, and I think you were part of the pandemic cohort to some degree, and made a lot of. Anything that kind of stood out to you from that experience, the relationship you've created that's been part of your.
I so enjoyed the boot camp, and I didn't even get to do an in-person meeting, but the boot camp was great. The resources that you all pulled in to talk to us about all these different areas, the book discussions that we had, that I now lead some of our teams in some of those same book discussions because I think they were so important. But the relationships, I got real friendly with several of the people of my cohort. It was great to catch up with them out at the BDO conference in Las Vegas and meet one of them in person for the very first time. But just being able to have another friend out there in the industry sometimes that you can just reach out to and say, hey, we're in the same place now. I'm struggling with this. What is your firm doing? And just know that you have that resource out there that has gone through a similar program, similar kind of instincts to what we have to get things done, but also know that we've got a trusted vendor in you and Gary for things that we need as well, just to keep us apprised of what's going on in the industry as we continue to do our alumni meetings and update meetings, which I think are excellent.
Awesome, Laura. Well, I want to wish you a safe travels this week. I think you're off to multiple offices, and appreciate the time after the holiday weekend. And I'm looking forward to watching your journey and the June 1 start date here just in a couple days.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, David. Look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thanks, Laura. Have a great day.
You have a great one too.